Hello, welcome to the second micro-learning session prepared for the Spur Change Capacity Building and Knowledge Sharing for Small and Medium Organizations program. The purpose of this micro-learning session is to discuss three types of data collection, namely qualitative data collection, quantitative data collection, and operational data collection. The session will also discuss principles to consider for gender-sensitive data collection, as well as consent and ethics for data collection. This micro-learning session is accompanied by an information sheet. There are three methods for data collection that you are likely to use for your baseline. These are qualitative data, quantitative data, and operational data. Qualitative data captures people's experiences, opinions, attitudes, and feelings. Often, participatory methods such as focus group discussions and interviews are used to collect qualitative data. Qualitative data can also be collected through surveys that ask people about their perceptions and opinions. Quantitative data are quantifiable. That means they are data that can be counted, such as the percentage of children enrolled in primary school or the percentage of women who received at least one antenatal care visit during the last pregnancy. Quantitative data is usually collected through a survey. If this survey is to be representative of the entire population, then the survey sample must be randomly selected and be sufficiently powered. That is, have enough respondents to be representative of the whole population. Operational data is data that is routinely collected. This data could be collected by a school system, such as the number of children who are enrolled in school, or it may be data collected by a health system, such as the number of women who attended a health center for an antenatal care visit. Operational data can also be collected by the project. For example, the number of mosquito nets distributed by the project. While you are planning for baseline data collection, it is important to keep in mind that the data collection method that you choose for your baseline will need to be replicated at your end line. Be sure that you will have the resources and time available to replicate your baseline study at the end of your project. Each type of data collection method has strengths and limitations. Qualitative data collection has the potential to generate rich and detailed data that leaves participants' perspectives intact. It can also pioneer new ways of understanding and respond to local situations and conditions and the needs of participants. Limitations of qualitative data are that conclusions may differ depending on the perspective of the researcher. Moreover, it is often very difficult to replicate a qualitative study. As well, results from qualitative data collection are specific to the study participants. This means that the results cannot be generalized to the whole population. As well, there is an increased chance of ethical dilemmas that may arise from qualitative data collection, which may undermine the validity of the study. Finally, qualitative data collection can often be time-consuming and expensive to collect. Quantitative data is often very attractive for baseline data collection because it has the potential to be representative of the whole population. Moreover, numerical data is often considered to be objective. It is possible to compare quantitative data results with other studies. Finally, quantitative data can be quickly collected from many participants. Limitations to quantitative data collection is that it requires a large sample size to be representative of the whole population, which means that it can be very expensive to collect. Moreover, quantitative data may lack depth, as respondents have a limited number of response options. Finally, quantitative data collection may require complex statistical analysis. Operational data can often be a good source for baseline data collection because it is readily available and inexpensive to collect. However, operational data may be incomplete and there may be complex processes required, such as gaining permission to access the data. Depending on the goals of the project, data may be collected using one method or a combination of methods. A combination of methods is called a mixed method study and can be useful to triangulate data. Regardless of the method you choose for baseline data collection, it is very important to use gender-sensitive data collection methods. Gender-sensitive data collection refers to who collects data, how participants are engaged in data collection, particularly women and girls, and where and how data are collected. Gender-sensitive data collection is particularly important when the population is vulnerable. Principles to consider for gender-sensitive data collection include: women collect data from women and men collect data from men. This is the gold standard for data collection. Women may be intimidated by men. If they are interviewed by men, they may respond as they think they should and hold back their authentic response. Similarly, men may not be willing to answer questions posed by female data collectors. Seek diversity in respondents. Where appropriate and possible, seek to collect data from as diverse a population as possible. Depending on your project, you may want to collect data from women, men, adolescent girls and boys, people who are disabled, or other vulnerable groups. Include participants who live in hard-to-reach locations as much as participants who are easily reached. Avoid tokenism. This means, for example, avoid collecting data from 10 focus groups with females and only 1 male focus group. Remember, gender-sensitive data collection includes both genders. Understand and value the importance of the perspective of both genders. Know that in many cultures, women's empowerment requires a male champion. Seek to understand how to create male champions. Collect disaggregated data. Ensure that you will be able to disaggregate data when it comes time to do data analysis. Plan to be able to report on outcomes for men and women separately. This is relevant for all types of data collection. Plan also to disaggregate data by other vulnerability markers, including age, ethnicity, rural and urban location, education, and disability. Pay attention to diversity. It may not be enough to categorize people into 2 broad categories of women and men. Young women may not be willing to speak if they are amongst older women, and vice versa. Young men may not speak in the company of older men. You may need to be sensitive to sexual orientation or gender identity when determining how, where, and when to ask questions. Consider the environment where data is collected. Will you conduct a focus group discussion under a tree where other villagers can listen in? How will you ask sensitive questions to a young woman without her husband or father listening in or even responding on her behalf? Think about how you will protect the confidentiality of your respondents and their data. Know that if your respondents do not feel safe, they may not provide authentic responses. Train your data collectors on methods for ensuring a safe and confidential environment for data collection. Manage expectations. Vulnerable people may not know how to answer your questions. A woman who has never been asked her opinion may not easily know how to express her opinion. People may give you the response they think is correct, or they may agree to be a participant and then not show up. This may be a reflection of the way they were invited to participate. It may also be a reflection of the relevance of the topic to the lives of your participants. When data collection does not produce the results you were hoping for example, deep conversations about lived reality, question how you are collecting data, the environment where data is being collected, your questions, and what you could change to get the results you are looking for. Take time for data collection. This means understanding that your participants may have complex lives. Schedule data collection at times that are convenient for your participants. Offer to come back if the participant is busy or if something comes up. Meet the participant at a location that is convenient for them. This could be at their shop or in their garden. Give respondents time to consider how they would answer a question, and always let respondents know that they can end an interview at any time. How you gather consent and ethical approval for data collection will define the integrity of your project and the work you do. Never compromise the process of gathering consent and, where required, ethical clearance for your project. Depending on the circumstances of your project, you may require consent from different levels. These may include ethical clearance from a formal research ethics board, permission from a national authority such as the government, health department, or the Department of Education, permission from state or district level authorities, permission from a village head or similar person who is the political representative for the area where you are collecting data, consent or permission from the head of the household, the school head teacher, or the head of the health department, consent from the individual who is the respondent. If the participant is a child under 18 years of age, you may be required to obtain parental consent as well as assent from the child. Assent refers to a type of consent that is gathered from a child after parental consent is provided. It is very important that you build time into your baseline planning to develop protocols for consent and gather ethical clearance or approvals where needed. Informed consent should include the following components: background information about the project, information about the purpose of the study, information about what the participant will need to do if she or he decides to participate in the study, information about what are the risks of participating in the study, information about the benefits of participating in the study, information about how the participant can withdraw consent to participate at any time during or after data collection. This is very important to think about. If a participant decides midway through an interview that they no longer want to participate, what will you do? And how will you handle it if a participant tells you after data collection is finished that he or she now wants to withdraw his or her data? Information on how data collected will be kept confidential. Contact information for the lead organization or researchers. A method to indicate that the participant agrees to participate and has provided full informed consent. This is often a signature. However, in some situations where respondents have low levels of literacy, it is sometimes acceptable to collect verbal consent so long as the data collector indicates by his or her signature on a consent form that he or she has collected informed consent. It is also sometimes acceptable to collect verbal recorded consent. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this micro-learning session on baseline data collection. Please take the time to review the summary sheet that accompanies the session.